everyone to my channel called Harbi Kafir, brought to you by the Dar El Harb Center for Islamic Studies and me, your host, Harbi Kafir. So however you found this channel, is my most fervent hope you'll return to learn more about the ideology that attempts to pass itself off as the religion of peace, Islam, and how it affects us folks known in Islam as Kafirs. In this episode, I will be going a little off mission with a critique of a television show, but stay with me for a few moments and you will see why I decided to review this program dealing with a segment of the U.S. population. The program in question is a three-part documentary airing on public broadcasting on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. entitled The Great Muslim American Road Trip. And I have been watching it, so you don't have to. First off, consider the source. It's PBS, so there you go. Now, when I was growing up, PBS was the educational channel. Well, don't expect to learn anything about Islam by watching The Great Muslim American Road Trip. Nowadays, PBS has become a taxpayer-funded platform for the social justice and equity indoctrination. So, this documentary quickly devolves into a predictable exercise in expounding on the victimhood culture that is so popular with many here in modern America. Because some of the first Muslims to come to this country were Africans that might have been Muslims, the traveling couple goes to places involving the enslavement of those Africans and their heritage in America, without ever touching on Islam's teachings on slavery or their prophet that was a little more than involved in slavery and the slave trade, including having a favorite sex slave, Mary the Copt. And as I have said in other episodes, because Muhammad, peace be upon him, owned slaves, it is sunnah, or acceptable behavior. They also never mention that Africans who were sold by the Muslims to Europeans to be brought to America were allowed to produce a heritage. Whereas African men that were enslaved by Muslims and taken east to Dar Islam were usually customized so they could be trusted around the master's wives and concubines. And if they survived the customization process, these African eunuchs were highly prized. But unlike their westward bound cousins, these men were never allowed to reproduce, much less have museums to their heritage. Also, just as many African men died during the the process of customization, if not more, as ever died during the treacherous Middle Passage trips from the Gold Coast of Africa to the New World. But I digress. But for me, it was just way too much liberal hand-wringing for this Muslim woman of Syrian ancestry and her recently converted to Islam American spouse, who is pastier than the descriptions I've heard about their prophet Muhammad, bless his little heart, as they prostrated themselves at the altars of identity politics and political correctness. But maybe that is what they had to do to get a documentary there on PBS. After all, there is nothing PBS would rather do with our tax dollars than sow the seeds of diversity. I mentioned the traveling couple is Muslim, and I guess that they would consider themselves as moderate, whatever that means. The woman, Mona, of Syrian descent, drives a car and makes Muslim rap music videos in a hijab while wearing makeup. You know, I'm a bit confused. Music and makeup are haram right off the bat, and I ain't real sure driving for women isn't also haram. But I never really thought this program was going to explain anything about Islam. It was made to be all feel good about Muslim Americans, and not to explain much about their beliefs except where Islam seems to have commonalities with the Abrahamic religions. Even the Quranic quote or misquote used by another Muslim along the way is from the Medina part of the Quran that has more jihad in it, and this quote is used to make Islam out to be something that it is not, a religion of peace. So these Muslims misquoted Surah 5 verse 32 as, "Whoever kills an innocent person, it is as though he has killed all of mankind, and whoever saves a life, it is as though he has saved all of mankind." Sound familiar? Rewatch Schindler's List. So here it is from my critical Quran. Let me see here. I've got it marked. Mark. There it is. Okay. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, yeah, right there. Surah 5, verse 32. For that reason, and this is in reference to Adam and Eve's sons, we decree, and Allah always says we when he's talking about himself, we decree for the children of Israel that whoever kills a human being for anything other than manslaughter or corruption on the earth, remember this corruption thing, it will be as if he had killed all mankind. And whoever saves the life of one person, it will be as if he had saved the life of mankind, all mankind. Our messengers came to them of old with clear proofs, but afterwards, indeed, many of them committed excesses on earth. Then it goes on to say in the next verse, for context, we'll go ahead and read it. The only reward for those who make war upon Allah and his messenger and struggle to sow corruption on the earth will be that they will be killed or crucified or have their hands and feet cut off on opposite sides or be expelled from the land. Such will be their degradation in this world, and in the hereafter theirs will be an awful doom. Yowie. Wow, that doesn't sound so innocent when one reads the whole verse in context, but PBS nowadays isn't likely to educate us with the whole story as much as they like to indoctrinate us with half-truths. But I will go on and watch the last episode next Tuesday 1, so you don't have to. and two, just to see how warm and fuzzy PBS makes Islam out to be, using these so-called moderate Muslims. Plus, I read ahead on the interweb there, the couple gets into been cooped up in the car too long, road trip fight somewhere in the southwestern desert. If you've been in a car with anyone, even someone you love, on a long road trip, there can be tensions at times. Well, I will be watching to see if the husband has to go all Surah 4 verse 34 on his wife's ass, and as Allah has decreed, give them a warning and banish them to separate beds and beat them. That would be interesting, but I don't think PBS would be showing that. So to wind up my review, I cannot really suggest anyone watch this, as it has unintentionally funny scenes, but only because knowing the truth about Islam, I can inject my own commentary by yelling at the television. It is a shame I will waste 3 hours of my life and have nothing, learned nothing from what at one time in my life was an educational channel and a place for learning. But it takes me back to what Bill Warner, one of my YouTube heroes, said years ago. If you really want to learn about Islam, don't go to a Muslim, because that Muslim may not practice or even know all of what Islam decrees. Also, because there are only two sources that tell you the whole truth of Islam. One, with one of them being Allah, whose words are found in the Quran right here, okay, and the other being Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the example of a life perfectly lived, or Sunnah, as recorded in the Sirah and Hadiths. So like I said, don't waste your time on this PBS documentary. But what do I know? Nobody here at the Dar El Harb Center for Islamic Studies pays me to do television show reviews, but if I were you, I might spend your time watching some of the YouTube videos from the Apostate Prophet, Robert Spencer, Dr. Bill Warner, Dr. J. Smith, or Hatun Tosh, because she got to take over David Wood's channel. And I want you to watch these because I want you to know Islam, my fellow Kafirs, so there is no submission. Allah